It's now time for Ermanni and Edwards with Maz, live on the Woodward Sports Network. Every day, 2 to 4 p.m. Starring Ryan Ermanni, Michigan great and former NFL baller Braylon Edwards, and of course, Tom Mazawey. Let's talk some sports.
Welcome to the Ermanni and Edwards with Maz show. My name is Stick, filling in for Ryan Ermanni today. Flannel Sam back on the desk 2 days in a row, filling in for Braylon Edwards today. And Tom Mazawey is back from vacation in New Jersey. Of course, we have JB, we have Fletch in here. Thank you to everybody watching the show right now on woodwardsports.com, being a part of the chat, and fox2detroit.com. Thank you for being a part of it. Part of me wanted to say thank you for being a part of the party, because that's kind of what we like to do when we kick off this show, is have a good time. But I think we would be disingenuous if we didn't address what happened last night in the Monday Night Football game between the Bills and, of course, the Bengals. It was something that I've never experienced in my life watching sports. I'm 41 years old. Mm-hmm. I can remember watching football at 5 years old. So in 36 years of watching sports, watching football, I had never seen any situation or scene quite like that. It was terrifying. It was, you didn't have answers. You had questions, and you had hypotheses. I think everybody in this room had an opinion of what they thought was happening, what could be happening, but none of us actually knew what was happening. And I got to tip my hat to ESPN and the way they handled it. I thought Joe Buck did an incredible job. I thought Troy Aikman did an incredible job. Susie Colbert, Ryan did a great job. Their sideline reporter. That's tough for a broadcaster, and not to shift the focus from the player to the broadcasters, but they also had no information. And they did a good job not creating panic. They did a good job delivering us information as they got it. And it's just a really tough situation for them. But I thought overall ESPN did an incredible job covering the events of last night.
They did do a great job. It's an unprecedented situation. And they were, like you said, they were presented with very little information. We all saw what happened on the field. We saw the players' reactions, which I know we kind of talked about it before the show. That's kind of how you knew that something was dreadfully wrong. And shout out to the medical staff for doing their jobs at the highest level and getting Hamlin's heart started again. That was absolutely incredible, but just a terrible, terrible, sad situation that I'd never seen before, hope to never see again, and never thought that I would see.
Yeah, you brought up the players' reactions, and to me, that was initially where I knew something was different.
Yes.
Watching Josh Allen just going like this, watching Stephon Diggs with tears in his eyes, watching other teammates. These are NFL players. Yep. And if you've played football your whole life, you've seen dudes get knocked unconscious, you've seen fractured bones, you've seen dislocated hips, shoulders, you've seen people get hurt. And it's usually just, okay, pick up and let's play ball. The way they stopped and the way they looked, you could tell it was a very tragic thing. And in all honesty, his heart stopped on the field. By technical definition, he flatlined, and he passed away on a football field last night. Now, luckily, Maz brought this up. The football field is probably, an NFL football field is one of a better place to have this type of incidents because of the medical staff that is already in place and the procedures that they have. But overall, just a scary, scary, scary incident that I think shook everybody. And like I said, we'd be wrong not to talk about it today. Maz, I know you were watching it. I know you have tremendous experience watching sports, just like I do. Have you ever seen anything even close to this?
Not for this long. Not for that long. I was at the stadium, the Silverdome, in the press box on the PA, doing the Lions game against the Jets, when Barry was going for 2,000 yards and Reggie Brown went down, Lions linebacker, really fine upcoming player. And when he first fell down, he hit his head on a player's leg, his knee. And he goes down and he looked up at his teammates and said, I can't move. I can't move anything. And then he blacked out. And you could hear a pin drop at the Silverdome. thank God they were able to resuscitate him, get him to the hospital, and saved his life. Then played again, never played again, but saved his life. This kid last night, Damar Hamlin, young kid, great kid. The more you read about him, the more you see videos of him. Such a special kid. Out of Pittsburgh. He's, 24 years old? Mm-hmm. The way he went down first, the first thing that hit me was I thought I saw his legs and his arms move like Tua's did a couple months back, if you remember that Thursday night football game at that same stadium in Cincinnati. And right away, they went to a break, and I told my wife, I think he's going to be okay. Tua looked like Tua did the same kind of body movement, and he's okay. He's concussed, obviously a bad concussion. But then they came back, and you see the blow, T. Higgins and him colliding, and he hit him right in the heart. And the kid, like you said, he went down unresponsive. They got on him right away. CPR. They shocked him. Did everything they could to get him. They pumped his heart up, and they got him out of there as quick as they could, put him in an ambulance, and took him to UC, Cincinnati Hospital, and obviously in critical condition. But he's, I think, stabilized overnight, and good news, they do have a statement out, the Hamlin family. Let's put it up for you, Fletch. I'll read it for you guys. From the family of Damar Hamlin, on behalf of our family, we want to express our sincere gratitude for the love and support shown to Damar during his challenging time. We are deeply moved by the prayers, the kind words, donations from our fans around the country. We'll talk about that. Over $4 million in donations so far to his charity. It's amazing. We also want to acknowledge the dedicated first responders and healthcare pros at the University of Cincinnati Medical Center who have provided exceptional care to Damar. We feel blessed to be part of the Buffalo Bills organization, to have their support. And we want to thank Coach Taylor and the Bengals for everything they've done. Your generosity and compassion mean the world to us. Please keep Damar in your prayers. We will release updates as soon as we have them. Thank you, the Hamlin family. And we're all praying, man. I don't think there's a person in this world, even if you're not watching sports, it's leading the newscasts. Everyone is praying for this innocent kid. And we all talk about football. It's my favorite game. But it is the most dangerous game that there is. It is nothing. It's a car crash. That's what it is. Yeah. It's a contact sport. It's a car crash. And these men, they deserve every freaking penny they make.
You know what? I'm glad you said that, because that was a point I was going to bring up. A lot of times you hear people talking about, why do these athletes get so much money? Why are they paid like this? And this is why. The risk is exceptional. Dan Campbell was talking about that this morning. These guys know every time they step on the field, it could be their last step, period. And with the heart that they have, with the love of the sport that they have, they go out there and they perform for us, for fans. Yep. And when you see something like this happen, it's absolutely crazy. And we were talking a little bit before the show. I had a friend of mine who had a heart attack, very similar situation. He was flatlined for 19 minutes. They call it a code blue in the hospital when you're young enough to where they just throw everything at you, whether they're breaking your ribs with CPR because they know that your body can handle it. They just do everything they can to try to revive you. On, I believe it was his 13th defibrillator, his heart finally switched back on. Wow. He was in a coma for about 4 days, but he is now healthy. He survived it. So I've seen it happen before, and I'm hopeful that it happens with Hamlin.
Well, that's what you hope for Damar Hamlin, that like your friend, that he might have had a situation that was very in peril. His life was in peril, but then he comes out of it despite being in a coma and can live a healthy life. Because Damar Hamlin, I think the saddest part was just a couple hours earlier before the game started, he was living his dream. He was playing for the Buffalo Bills. He was playing in one of the biggest games of his life, maybe the biggest game of his life. Like, he was on top of the world, and then that quickly it can just be taken away from you. And it's something that we don't like to think about as people. We all kind of feel like we're invincible, but even a guy like Damar Hamlin, an NFL football player, a gladiator, it can all be taken away just like that. It's humbling.
And it should be, honestly.
Yes.
Like, I think that's the crazy part about the human body is it's very durable, but it's also very fragile at the same time. And any day you wake up, you should consider yourself lucky. And that's not just me trying to post a nice, friendly thing on social media to make us all appreciate life. Like, no, life is very fragile, and you never know when it can be taken, even if it's in the middle of doing something you love. And I got to give complete credit to the Buffalo Bills organization and to the Cincinnati Bengals organization. The NFL, they were going to play that game. From all reports on ESPN, Maz, I believe you've heard otherwise, but they said in 5 minutes, let's get this thing going back again. And then you just saw the Buffalo Bills walk to the locker room, and you saw both coaches convene in the hallway. You saw them on the phone. I'm sure they were talking to somebody from New York, if not Roger Goodell, about what to do. And I think both teams obviously understood the gravity of the situation, and it just very well managed by both of those head coaches. You could tell that they were in control of the moment that you have no control over, and they handled it the best that they possibly could. And now it leads to a lot of other questions because that game had playoff implications, and not that any of that matters when there's a life on the line, but the NFL still needs to figure it out. They released a statement about rescheduling the game, right, Maz?
They have. They will not reschedule it this week. And if you look into next week, like the first thing I thought about football-wise was if they want to play this game, maybe they won't play the Week 18 games. So then I looked, and no, they'll be playing them. It is the Ravens at Cincy for the division, and the Patriots at the Bills. Patriots fighting for a playoff spot as well. So here's what I think will happen. I believe that they'll call this game a tie, and I don't think you'll see this game. And let's all hope. I'm talking football here. I'm not talking. I want Damar to get healthy. That's number one. As football goes, I wish these guys can play in the playoffs eventually. The home team is probably going to be the Kansas City Chiefs. They're probably going to win the top seed. They've got 13 wins. Buffalo's got 12. Cincy has 11. Here's what happens. The Ravens play Cincinnati this week. Even if the Ravens beat Cincinnati, and they'll call that game a tie with Buffalo, Cincy wins the division. Baltimore will get in as a wild card. So that game is almost meaningless. Buffalo has nothing to play for either. They're going to be locked in as the number 2 seed. The Patriots have to win to get in the playoffs. Buffalo plays them. I'm not sure what Buffalo's going to put out there, how they're going to feel, if they even want to freaking play the game. Regardless, it all depends on what happens with Damar going forward. But I believe the Bengals and the Bills game will not be played. I don't see how it can be.
I don't see where at the end of the season where they can schedule it. If this was like week 3,
it's different.
Figure it out. You know, even during the COVID season, they were able to get creative, play a Wednesday game. But there's no way before the playoffs you're going to put these two teams on the field and then put them on the field 4 days later.
This game is a tie. You could book it right now. They're not playing this game, and it'll work out eventually football-wise. But we only give a damn about Damar's health right now, and we want him to get better. And I really do. I don't know what it is, but I got a great feeling that he's going to be okay. That's the way I'm feeling.
Yeah, like I said, I've seen somebody come through this in real life, so I'm pretty sure with the medical attention that he's getting, he will be able to. And all you can do is just wait. That's all you do is you just wait and see.
And here's the kicker: if this game is declared a tie, and let's say Kansas City somehow gets knocked out of the playoffs. If Buffalo plays Cincy, I would believe, even though Buffalo has like a game lead on Cincy, I believe the NFL will award Cincinnati that home game. And I don't think Buffalo will fight it either if they have to play against each other. That's just my opinion.
I don't know. That's a lot of layers to figure out. That's for the NFL to figure out. I just wanted to highlight the teams, and I thought they did an exceptional job last night.
Oh, they totally did. And there's no way they were going to play that game. That was never going to be played after that kid left the way he did.
Yeah, 9 minutes of CPR on the field, defibrillators. There's so many ways that my brain went, and I'm sure everybody's brain went. But overall, it was handled about as well as you can handle it in a situation that you could never see coming.
Unprecedented times call for unprecedented solutions, both with the care for Damar Hamlin and for what the NFL is going to do moving forward. And that's kind of why we don't really know the best solution. We have to do something that has never been done before for the NFL. So I mean, it's unprecedented. I can't really knock anybody for anything they did. And you got to give a lot of credit, like you said, to the announcers, to the Bills, to the Cincinnati Bengals. It gave me a lot of hope in humanity that when they see their fellow brother go down, they rallied. You could see the emotion in everybody and all the coaches. It was a terrible moment, but also gave me a lot of hope for like humanity as a whole.
Sean McDermott, when I saw him with his face in his hands, that was the scariest thing to me.
Yeah,
the head coach.
Well, let's continue talking about this. We'll take a quick break right now, but when we come back, we got a lot of stuff planned for today's show. Dan Miller is joining us after 3 p.m. The Lions game got flexed to a night game, so definitely want to discuss that. But
I think that stinks, by the way.
Huh?
I think that stinks.
You do?
I do.
Well, let's discuss that coming up right here on Ermanni and Edwards with Maz on WoodwardSports.com.
The sports marketing agency would not be who we are without great community partners like Higuera Health and Carol Zuniga.
It's an awesome opportunity to partner with your organization. Higuera Health is a comprehensive behavioral health organization. We serve children through older adults with mental health, substance use, and developmental disabilities across Western Wayne counties, and really excited to now be in downriver communities as well. Give us a call at 734-458-4601.
3 NBA championships. Detroit fans were there. 11 Stanley Cups. Detroit fans were there. 4 World Series wins. Detroit fans were there. And that one Lions playoff win in 1991. Yeah, Detroit fans were there. Woodward Sports, where the fans are.
It is a new year, and Guardian Alarm has a lot to offer you. Customized solutions from real experts. Their professional technicians take the time to recommend security and automation solutions for your needs, because not every house is the same, but every house does need this. 24/7 professional monitoring. Somebody always watching what's going on. You want that peace of mind? Call 1-800-STAY-OUT. It's 1-800-STAY-OUT. Guardian Alarm, and let them know that Woodward Sports sent you.
You bet. And matter of fact, you go on over to Big Boy and make sure you tell them Woodward Sports sent you. It's wintertime in Detroit. No better time to have comfort food and have it at Big Boy. How about trying that classic meatloaf or the chicken Alfredo, the Cajun chicken Alfredo? And breakfast, it's second to none at Big Boy. The potato pancakes are back. So is the Lumberjack, the Santa Fe Garden, and the Blockbuster. Stop by your local Big Boy today. Hey, try them all.
Welcome back to Ermanni and Edwards with Maz, live on WoodwardSports.com and Fox2Detroit.com. My name is Stick, filling in for Ryan Ermanni, who's on vacation all week. That is Flannel Sam, filling in for Braylon Edwards. Tom Mazawey is also back from vacation. What a day to come back from vacation, Maz.
Unreal. I got home late last night, right for the game. Time to unpack the car and got settled in. Got to watch the game. I'm there with my wife. It's like watching Monday night together. It was going to be a huge game. Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, so excited. Those are my guys. I was happy for them because they've got crap all year. And what happens? They get this game of the year. And Cincinnati gets the toss. What do? No, we're not deferring. We'll take the ball. We're going to go down and jam it right down your throat. And Joe Burrow takes him right down the field. That guy, man, he is really something. And Josh Allen, a stud in his own right, takes his team down. They get 3. 7-3 is when the game was halted, obviously, when Damar went down. And we've been talking about it the whole day so far. And everyone's talking about it. And still prayers out for Damar Hamlin of the Buffalo Bills, who is still in intensive care, still in critical care in Cincinnati, but showing signs of improvement.
Yeah, our text thread, obviously everybody here at Woodward Sports, we have a text thread, and during big games, we're all going back and forth. During the Michigan game, it was fun, a lot of ribbing back and forth between Neil Rule and Flannel Sam, and Braylon's getting involved. Like, it's fun when those things are happening. I actually told Easy we should screen record these as they're happening and post them so people can see what it's really like behind the scenes. But while this was happening,
I was up till 3 in the morning against Neil.
You guys were. Easy was doing research all day. He came back the next morning with articles posted in the thread. Like, it gets out of control. But
we will talk Michigan later today.
Yeah, we will talk Michigan. We will talk a lot of Lions. But last night, our text thread, I think I was the first one that said, this is the wildest thing I've ever seen. And then it followed. And what was crazy is we were waiting on ESPN to give us updates, but Twitter was getting us faster news and more efficient than ESPN. And when ESPN was reporting something, it was something that we've had already shared amongst us on Twitter. So it was really an interesting night in our chat thread. I had another chat thread with my fantasy football league, one of the fantasy football leagues that I'm in. And, there's always that one guy that whatever's going on in the world doesn't matter to him. It's about him. And all he was doing was bitching that how is this going to wind up in fantasy football? It's the championship week. I had Joe Burrow going. I needed 27 points. Now I don't know if I'm going to get them. And that's an interesting layer to this. Yeah. Obviously, it doesn't effing matter about your fake football team. But at the end of the day, this was a championship week in a lot of leagues.
A lot of money, man.
And those were some very key players. I mean, you're talking Josh Allen, you're talking Joe Mixon, you're talking Stephon Diggs.
There were at least 6 to 8 players playing on this game that people had on their rosters.
Yeah.
No doubt.
And so I don't know how fantasy football leagues are going to handle this. I don't really care how they'll figure it out.
You do it. You play it this week.
This week?
I would just allow the league to go one more week.
Do you replay it, or do you just replay those players and keep the other stats from the other? Like, there's a lot of ways to do it.
I would replay the whole week, and then each league can decide how they want to pay out. Because last week, obviously, if you only had 1 player left or 2 players left and you had a lead or you were behind, there's a way that your commissioner, and you got to be friendly, obviously, in this thing. And you got to split the money, you split the money.
Well, Adam Morency, one of our good friends here at Woodward Sports in the woodwardsports.com chat, he says he does know that all sports bets for Monday Night Football were voided by FanDuel. So FanDuel did the right thing.
Well, you have to.
And there's always that one guy, though, fantasy team, right? But at the same time, despite what's going on with Damar Hamlin, which is obviously at the forefront of everybody's mind, there's some big money fantasy leagues. So something has to be done about that because people put their money on the line. And I actually like what Maz's solution. Just extend it to next week. Just void all of the stats. Like I said, unprecedented situations call for unprecedented solutions. So I think that's an easy, simple, sort of pain-free way to do it.
Plus, I'd get a rematch.
Oh, you were in the championship match.
I won ours here.
Okay.
But I was in another one that I was battling for, and my team didn't show up. I really don't deserve to win, so enough said. But that is, now last night, during the whole episode, ESPN never went to this guy on Twitter that we all looked at. His name is Jordan Rooney, at JORDONR. And it turns out he is a family friend of Damar's.
Yes.
And he is a representative of Damar's. And he gave an update.
He sourced himself,
and he sourced himself.
I like
ESPN never once went to him and tell us anything. So if you don't have Twitter, you don't know who this guy is. You haven't heard anything. They went to these reporters that weren't even in the freaking hospital. I mean, they gave nothing.
I get it, though. Like, if we were just throwing up random tweets from people we haven't vetted out, there could be a lot of danger for them reposting or
But the family agreed. The family was with this guy.
And that's fair.
So he went on last night, 16 hours ago, and he said, please keep Damar in your thoughts and prayers. Please refrain from speculation and contacting the family if you're not close to them. People asked to donate. There's a GoFundMe floating around from Damar's toy drive. If you'd like, you can do that. Update, his vitals are back to normal 15 hours ago. They have put him to sleep and put a breathing tube down his throat. They're currently running tests. We will provide updates as we have them. And he said Damar's parents wanted me to get this out, and he put the Damar toy drive out there. You guys probably have seen it by now, but he's been the guy that's been on top of this story. He's the guy that put out the family statement. ESPN, all these people, they're not on this. And that's what it's a head scratcher to me, how they didn't give you more. Like, I don't know. I know you don't want to jump, and people always want to be the first.
The worst thing they could do was give wrong information.
I know that. But they got to find this guy, and if he's the real deal, you put him on.
Yeah.
That's all I was saying.
Yeah, but I understand as somebody that works at a network, like if you guys were just throwing on random people that claim to be friends of somebody and saying, hey, this is what's happening, it's like, yeah, pump the brakes a little. That's why we pay Susie Colbert and all our other reporters to get this information, make sure we vet it and it's factual. But yeah, I mean, I think everybody was just searching for information because nobody knew what really happened. I mean, the play, he got up from the initial play. Yeah. And then he just collapsed. So whether it was he got hit in the chest and that caused the cardiac arrest, was it a blood clot that was just sitting in him that got knocked loose? Because sometimes that can happen in shoots. None of us know, and none of us still know. But what we do know is he was out for 9 minutes at least with the CPR. Then the defibrillator came out. So the NFL had a lot, I don't want to say cover up, because I don't think they covered up anything, but they had a lot to walk around yesterday, because if they kept playing, that's an awful look.
Sure.
But they also, if he was not breathing and not responsive on the field, they couldn't take him off the field in that manner. They had to try everything in their power to make sure that at least the visual of this guy being saved was there.
Yeah.
And if they don't have that, it's a whole nother issue. I mean, NFL's already dealing with CTE. They're dealing with, and a death on the field is something that I don't know any PR firm that would be able to overcome.
Well, if you go back to 1971, and I'll bring it up, the player that did die on the field is Chuck Hughes, as everyone knows. He was a Lion. They were playing the Bears. It was a late October game in Tiger Stadium. Lions were down 4, driving to try to get the game won. They were both they were a 4-win team at that time, 4-2 versus 3-1 or something like that at that point. And the Lions were driving down, about a minute and a half left in the game, and number 85, Chuck Hughes, 85 is, by the way, retired by the Lions. And Chuck Hughes was a terrific guy. He was like a third receiver for Detroit. Played for Texas Christian, TCU, not Texas Christian. There's another school in Texas that he played for, Texas El Paso, UTEP. And he dropped as he was walking back to the huddle. He just dropped. Dick Butkus was near him, the great Dick Butkus. First, Dick Butkus said, I thought he was just trying to stall so they can get time, and he didn't have any timeouts left. But he knew right away there was something wrong with him, so he waved to the Lions brass to come out. They immediately rolled him over. Back then, they didn't have the safety precautions that they do now. And they were giving him CPR, mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, and they brought the stretcher out, and they took him out. As they were taking him out, you saw his hand just slump off of the gurney, slump off of it. They put him in the ambulance. His wife came down, got in the ambulance. They rushed him to Henry Ford Hospital, but he had died already on the way there. They had 1 minute and 2 left in the game. Lions had like a 4th and 10. They played it out, and incomplete pass. Lions lost. They went to the locker room, despondent, just hanging out, waiting, staying in their uniform. They waited about 30 minutes, 35 minutes, and then they got the word that Chuck had passed away. The only player to actually die on the field. There's no way that ESPN was going to bring that up, because you can't bring that up because the man's alive. Right. There's no way they were going to bring that story up. I know a lot of people online were like, hey, how come they never brought up Reggie Brown? Or how come they didn't bring up, Chuck Hughes? And you can't do it anymore.
Well, the news station here in Detroit reposted their Chuck Hughes article probably 10 minutes after this, and they got roasted on social. Good. That's why I'm not even bringing up the specific news organization. Exactly. But they tried to get clicks from a 30-year-old story off of a guy that's laying dead on a football field, and that's just pathetic.
Yep, but
it's bad reporting. It's bad media. It's not good for anybody.
That's why ESPN did not even bring it up. When they kept going back to the studio and they had nothing to say except almost cry. Susie Colbert was almost in tears. Booker McFarland was in tears. Yep. Adam Schefter was in tears. They had nothing to say, and they kept going to commercial, go back to Joe.
Well, and what do you do? Hey, we're going to throw on a 30 for 30. Enjoy this while we're
personally.
What do you do?
Personally, I would have put a Sports Center up and I would have checked back in every 10 minutes just to keep people. Yeah. It was uncomfortable to watch.
It was, but
I watched it for 2.5 hours. I can't do it anymore.
It was uncomfortable, but you stuck around because it was. You've never seen anything like it. Hopefully, we never do.
Ryan Clark. It was riveting, but I was done at that point.
Yeah.
I was just done.
Well, we wanted to make sure that we acknowledged this, addressed it, had our conversation with it. Like I said, obviously there's a lot for us to get into today with Dan Miller joining us, the Lions being flexed, Michigan. There's still a ton to talk about today, but this is the biggest news story in the world right now, well, at least here in America. This is the biggest sports story by far, and if we don't cover these massive situations, we're doing you a disservice, and it's just kind of stupid of us not to talk about important things. So we're going to take a break. When we come back, we will get into Lions football, talk about that cold winter night coming up in Green Bay. We will do that next right here on woodwardsports.com and fox2detroit.com.
We here at Woodward Sports would like to thank everybody who helped us stuff our studio. The third annual Stuff a Studio was a major success, thanks in part to our partners at Guardian Alarm and Myers Stores for making it all possible. And of course, we couldn't do it without our community leaders and viewers like you. Thank you for dropping off toys to our studio that were taken to the Mott Children's Hospital in Ann Arbor so every sick child could have a happy holiday.
We are incredibly grateful for Woodward Sports, Guardian Alarm, and Meyer for making the holidays so special for our patients and families.
So what we do is try to bring some normalcy to their lives at this time. This is a labor of love. It brings so much joy, and not just for the families and for the children, but for our staff.
Thank you.
You don't have to go to the beach, man. You don't have to get your butt crack full of sand. You just need a little chili peppers, man, to get that glowing beach chili peppers tan. Woo!
With 26 locations in the Metro Detroit area and more coming, Chili Peppers Tanning is where you'll find the cleanest salons in the D. Join the Pepper Club for the best deals on unlimited tanning. Head to chilipepperstanning.com.
You just need a little chili peppers, man.
Get a shot up. This is for the win. All of Detroit's sports teams live on Woodward. All of Detroit's sports coverage lives on Woodward Sports. Driving the best in Detroit sports coverage.
Custom Health Centers is your custom way to lose that weight. A lot of people make those New Year's resolution, and then about 2 weeks in, it's just not working, right? Well, Custom Health Centers wants to design a health weight loss program specifically for you. They take the blood test. They understand exactly what you need so you can get your maximum results. If you want that, do this. Call this number right at the bottom of the screen right now, 844-789-8446. That's 844-789-8446, Custom Health Centers.
And obviously, we have some great sponsors here, and one of them is Cousins Maine Lobster. CousinsMaineLobster.com is the place. You want to go there and check out their schedule. They also have an app that you could download so you can get that truck schedule. They got 2 trucks rolling around Detroit. Maybe have them come out to your place and your next party and have them give it to you. Lobster tacos, lobster mac and cheese, lobster grilled cheese, of course, lobster bisque. They also have the New England clam chowder. So get on it today, and make sure you tell them Woodward Sports sent you. CousinsMaineLobster.com.
That's so good. Every time we put that up there, all I can think about is that like awesome buttery lobster roll that we had when they rolled through a couple of weeks ago.
You're not kidding, man.
It's craveable. Like, honestly, like
took good care of us.
I think about that sandwich a lot. More than I should.
I don't blame you.
And the filthy things I would do with that butter, but my
I'm
goodness.
alone in my room. Sometimes I stare at the wall.
In the back of my mind, I hear the lobster truck call. A little LL Cool J out of Flannel Sam.
Yes,
My
sir.
goodness, I didn't expect that, youngin'.
Hey, I'm not that young. I'm older than people think. I'm 31, so I know.
Oh, yeah, you're really old.
I'm
Yeah.
a connoisseur of the classics.
Hey, man. Lobster truck and LL Cool J. Never thought they'd go together, but I think LL Cool J would love it too.
Yes.
All right, let's talk about the Lions. Let's talk about Sunday night. Let's talk about what you give me that face for, man.
Sunday night.
Wait.
Ooh, Sunday night. I know you love that song.
I hate it. I hate the whole Sunday night broadcast.
Sunday night.
I hate it.
Why do you hate it?
I just don't like the whole NBC thing. There's something about it that rubs me the wrong way. I want to play this game at 1 o'clock. Or I want to play this game on Saturday night.
It should have been played at 4. It should be played the exact same time as the Seattle game. For no competitive advantage for any team. The fact that Seattle, the Lions could go into that game knowing that they have nothing to play for, sucks. But the fact that the Lions could go into that game and it's essentially a playoff game, a play-in playoff game, pretty awesome.
It is for the Packers either way.
It is for the Packers either way. So the Lions can either A, spoil the Packers season,
right,
or B,
and win 9 games.
Yeah. But even then, they may not make the playoffs. But if Seattle loses and the Lions win, Lions are in, baby.
Whoever thought back in September when T.J. Hawkinson went wild that day, 45 points the Lions scored that day against the Seahawks. And Geno Smith and who was the other running back that got hurt?
Rashad Penny.
Rashad Penny went for 203 touchdowns against us. Whoever thought the 48-45 game would come down to this freaking week that they got to play? They got to win and hope that Seattle loses. But you know what? We're in good shape because my man Baker is quarterbacking for the LA Rams.
We are not in good shape.
So are you guys finally on the Baker bandwagon?
No. No, I'll never be on the Baker. Am I rooting for the Detroit Rams? Sure, I'm rooting for them. But yeah, come on, man. I hope Baker can spark them. To me, Cam Akers has been the man for them too. So I'm hoping for a big Rams win because we talked about this. Would you rather take a playoff berth or 2 draft positions? I'm taking a playoff.
Right now we sit at 7th or 6th?
7th.
7th. So let's say the Rams win. The worst that you're picking top 10 then, right? A 6-win Ram team still gives you a top 10 pick.
I think so.
But if they lose, how far can they drop?
I don't care as long as we make the playoffs. Honestly, I don't care if that pick falls to 17, as long as the Lions make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because I trust Brad Holmes. It's not like, oh no, Brad Holmes needs a top 5 pick. No,
I'm with you.
He's still got 2 first-round picks. If he wants to package them and move up, let's do it. Whatever. Let's just make the playoffs, baby.
At this point, there's no way that you could even be thinking about a draft pick. No. This is the first playoff game they played since 2017?
Essentially.
Okay.
Essentially.
All right, here we go.
Dan Campbell spoke a little bit about playing in primetime because this is the Lions' first primetime game when the schedule came out at the beginning of the season. Yeah. What was it, Sam?
All 1 o'clock.
They didn't give a damn about the Lions.
Every last one of them. Not even 84.
The way it should be, by the way. I love 1 o'clock football.
I'm very much excited to do a post game at 11 p.m. at night here at Woodward Sports.
Pre-game at 6?
Anson and I are very excited for this Sunday night post game party, especially if they win. But let's hear what Dan Campbell has to say about playing in primetime.
Would you rather have that than the 2 4 o'clocks at 4:25?
Listen, I don't care. I just want to play, So it's coming, and it'll be down the wire, and they'll be there, we'll be there, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting.
There's so much the NFL could have done.
That's my football
better
coach.
Than this.
That's my coach.
What they do this for? This is horrible.
You know what they
Just
did
because
it for?
of Aaron Rodgers, and I love Aaron Rodgers. Everyone knows that. But that's the only reason that they're putting this game on Sunday night. It's not for the Lions. It's for the Packers.
And that's okay, because with Aaron Rodgers, it truly is a win and you're in situation. The Lions are just a benefactor of that. And the fact that they were able to go from 1-6 to 8-8, if the Lions were like a 4-12 team, they wouldn't be on Sunday night. And the fact is, if the Rams and your boy Baker Mayfield can somehow go into Seattle and beat the Seahawks, it'll be a win in their end game for Detroit. The only flip side of that is, like you said earlier, you're going to know for sure whether you have any shot of the playoffs if you're the Lions. And if they don't, I mean, are you going to come with a little less juice?
I don't know. It's human nature, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's also these are competitive alphas that want to take the soul from Aaron Rodgers. So that's always going to be a motivation. A winning record is a motivation. But, I mean, the goal is the playoffs, right?
But a winning record, I mean, even just a winning record going from 3 last year to 9 this year, that would be triple your wins. And getting to end maybe the soul of Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau, a house of horrors traditionally for the Lions. Either way, even if the Lions have no shot of the playoffs or they do, I think that's a game that would be very exciting, that the Lions will be up for, and I think that they have a very, very good chance of going in there and winning.
Well, Aaron Rodgers has certainly changed his tone about the Detroit Lions since midseason.
He's smart.
Says, we can't lose to that team. Okay. Well, now Aaron Rodgers, and this is how I know Aaron Rodgers may be a little shook. Here's what he had to say about playing the Lions on Sunday night.
Restart. It starts all over. Come Sunday, if they put a Sunday night, that'd be pretty special. We've played in a couple of those Sunday night games, I feel like, against the Lions over the years, definitely in 16 and maybe even in 12, possibly. I feel like that was a later game. We were playing for seeding. Might not have been the Sunday night game, but might have been 325. But it's not the same old Lions. They were 1-6 at one point, and they've come all the way back to 8-8, and there'll be a lot on the line for both teams. It'd be exciting to line up against them.
That could be the nicest thing Aaron Rodgers has ever said about the Lions. They're not the same old Lions.
Yep.
Even his dumbass realizes it.
He knows. He knows. And I love the way he brings up, we definitely played him in 2016. Everyone knows that. That was the Thursday night game, the Hail Mary to Richard Rodgers.
After the fake face mask?
Yeah, that was horrible.
I remember that.
But yeah, he'll remember that. It's one of his greatest moments, right? He's owned the Lions, and the Lions have beaten them here and there, but he's owned them. The Packers have owned them, basically, and it's tough to win in Lambeau. I think they finally broke the streak last year, if I'm not mistaken. You got a shot at them, but there's no possible way, guys, that you could come out of that locker room after Seattle has beaten the Rams and be that same team, Sam. I don't believe it can.
And that's what's tough, because you literally can go from either having a shot or having no shot whatsoever. But still, with this, what Aaron Rodgers recognizes is that this team that he thought was the same old Lions could end your season, could potentially end your soul. That team could end your season. That team could just make this entire season for the Green Bay Packers a colossal failure. And it's smart of him to respect them and to take them seriously, because this same old Lions team, or this brand new Lions team, they could go in there and win. They could go in there and snatch Aaron Rodgers' soul. And I think all of us as Lions fans would love to see it.
You know damn well if it's close at the end, this is just the way it is. There'll be a flag on the Lions for sacking them. And you guys know I like the Pack, and I like Aaron Rodgers, and I love Lambeau Field. But I'm a Lions junkie.
Sure.
I would root for them against my own teams, the Giants and Jets, which I did. But I'm telling you,
they won.
If it's close, it's not going to be good for the Lions, because they want Green Bay in. They don't give a damn about us here. They don't. They truly don't.
And why should they, honestly? Because historically the Lions are the worst franchise in the NFL, but this is not the same old Lions. This is a team that could end up with a winning record. And these aren't the same Packers teams of even the last 3 years, of the year when Aaron Rodgers and the Packers won the Super Bowl. This is a team that started out 4-8 and now are 8-8. And credit to them, the way that they've been able to sort of bounce back their season similarly to the Lions. But if Aaron Rodgers has a chance to make the playoffs, I think the NFL would prefer that, but you can't blame them. This is the NFL as a whole, not in Detroit.
And here's the kicker. The team that gets in last will get the number 2 seed, which is fading right now. The Vikings are fading, and the Niners are gaining. So it more than likely will be the San Francisco 49ers that you got to go play.
Well, it's going to be a great game. I think we all know that.
Yeah.
And no matter what happens, I don't expect a blowout in this game. I expect an all-out war between these two. And here's what Dan Campbell thinks about this game.
We're better too, there's no question. But this win kind of started us in the right direction the last time we played them, and we really haven't looked back. So that's why I just think this is one of those games you look forward to being a part of as a player, as a coach. The fans are going to love this. I just think it's great, and you just I don't know if you could write it any better. It's going to be great.
I love how much that guy loves football.
Oh, yeah.
I like that guy lives, breathes. Football is life to Dan Campbell. And it trickles down to the team, and you can see it.
I just got a quick
can't wait.
Quick little story from this past trip to Jersey. Sunday, we were all tired after New Year's Eve, but there was no way in hell I wasn't going to watch the Lions game. So I tell my brother-in-law, all right, where are we going? He's like, well, there's this new place called the Clubhouse, about half an hour from our house here. Let's go there. They'll have the NFL ticket. Really great bar. So I'm sitting there, we're watching the game. I'm like, they put it on right there for me. So I'm locked and loaded. The Giants are on the big screen, my other team. So both teams are kicking butt. All of a sudden, this guy comes in. He's got this Giants red sweatshirt on. He sits next to me. And he introduces himself. Hey, how you doing? I'm Dan. Blah, 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 blah. Hey, I'm the owner here. Hey, how you guys like it? Oh, we love it. Then he sees my Lions. I had my Lions sweatshirt on. He's like, hey, that's my new team. I love your coach. I love that Dan Campbell guy. I am really rooting for the Lions. And then a couple other guys see the Lions shirt, and they come over to me. And they're like, hey, you're from Detroit? I'm like, yeah. Blah, 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 blah. The Lion fans are starting to come out of the woodwork, man. And it's because of this guy.
Yeah.
It's because of Dan Campbell.
It's a culture shift. It's different than anything I've ever experienced as a Lions fan. Like, there's been hope before. Lions fans. But honestly, there's been hope before. But it's all been hope based on, like, old talent and, we brought in this guy. These are our guys. They're growing together. The coaches are in place. They got the attitude. And there's a lot to this. We're going to discuss a lot more Lions football coming up on today's show. But Flannel Sam, we got to talk some Michigan coming up next because I got a question for you.
Can't wait.
Probably the biggest Michigan fan I know outside of Ryan Ermanni.
I think I'm a bigger fan, actually. But you know what?
All right. Well,
I can't wait for your question. I'm all ears.
Just a side note. I'm the elder statesman here. I've rooted for Michigan since I was 10 years old.
Okay.
That makes me more of a Michigan fan than Ryan Ermanni.
Oh, okay. Well, we can splice that up however you want to.
I always get passed up on Michigan fandom. I just want to bring that up.
I don't look at you as a slappy like I look at these two, though.
Yeah, I'm not a slappy. It's because I look at everything, try to flatline everything. But
we'll talk about that next. First, Sam, tell us about Swiss Insurance.
Swiss Insurance. Be sure to check with Swiss Insurance this week for your commercial insurance review. Many businesses choose January 1st effective date. Swiss can help make sure you have the proper coverage. Swiss Insurance, give us a shot and you won't be disappointed. You can email them at mark@swissins.com. Again, that is mark@swissins.com.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1, what's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2, join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3, bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
What's a winter wonderland if you can't shop, eat, and play? Lucky for you, you can do it all at the Downtown Detroit Markets, Cadillac Lodge, and the new winter version of the Monroe Street Midway, all located just across the street from Campus Martius Park. Find the fun at deckedoutdetroit.com.
Have an opinion? Make sure it's seen and heard. Corner, jumper, tweet us, hop on the YouTube chat, slide in the DMS at Woodward Sports on all social media.
Matrix Home Solutions is your go-to for any home project. Looking for a new man cave? Well, they have you covered. They are your basement remodel experts. They also specialize in bathrooms and kitchens as well. With an A+ rating by the Better Business Bureau, give them a try. Give them a call at 888-594-8844, or you can always check them out at matrixhomesolutions.com.
Get that new man cave in your home. Welcome back to the Ermanni and Edwards show with Maz. My name is Stick, filling in for Ryan Ermanni today. Flannel Sam up on the stage. Maz back in his Maz chair. JB being smooth as hell in that booth. And then, of course, we have the one and the only Fletch, making sure we all sound good. We're going to talk about Michigan football in like 30 seconds. This just popped up on my timeline here. ESPN released a statement. Maz, me and you kind of went back and forth on, I thought the NFL was trying to make these dudes play in 5 minutes. I thought the teams were the ones that were like, NFL, we ain't playing right now, and the NFL had a lot of damage control to do. And ESPN was reporting that they were going to play in 5 minutes.
Yes.
Here's the statement by ESPN. There was constant communication in real time between ESPN and the league and game officials. As a result of that, we reported what we were told in the moment and immediately updated fans as we knew information was learned. This was an unprecedented and rapidly evolving circumstance. All night long, we refrained from any speculation. So they were getting some pushback, I'm sure, about saying that they were going to resume in 5 minutes. ESPN is saying, that's what was reported to us. That's what we were reporting to you.
I'll tell you this. I think the NFL dropped the ball as far as Roger Goodell should have come on with at least Scott Van Pelt. Actually, with Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. I mean, you think they have the capabilities of you think he has his own studio in his multi-million-dollar mansion?
I mean, we got VMix here.
I mean, we can get you on the air.
Yeah.
The NFL, for sure, and ESPN can get him on the air. He should have come on and made a statement and talked with the guys. Something. That's where they missed out.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
So that was a statement that ESPN just released. Wanted to stay on top of that for you guys. But Michigan football, Flannel Sam.
All right.
I mean, we did a video before the game here. What people would do if Michigan lost to TCU. I just stared blankly at the camera because I just didn't see it happening. I was wrong. Lots of people were wrong. Jeff said he'd shave his head. Jeff did not shave his head, to my disappointment. Braylon took it to another extreme that I'm not even going to joke about on the air.
Right.
But here's the question, Flannel Sam.
Oh, boy.
And I think we had this discussion a little bit before the game, but I don't think you were really taking it too serious because, like I said, I don't think any of us anticipated a loss. Does the Michigan loss to TCU ruin this 13-0 season?
I don't know if it ruins it, but when it comes to sort of the national level of being a national powerhouse, it does. Because I could say, it doesn't ruin it. But why do I feel so empty? Why do I feel so despondent? Why do I feel like I don't want to live anymore? No, I'm kidding about that extreme, but that's how big of a Michigan fan I am. Because obviously, I'm not going to take away the fact that they won in Columbus for the first time since 2000. That was an incredible accomplishment. They were undefeated, 13-0, Big Ten champions again, with a chance in the college football playoff. But they lost to TCU. They didn't lose to like a powerhouse Georgia team like that last year. They didn't lose to Alabama. They didn't lose to one of those great LSU teams. With all due respect, they lost to TCU, a team that they were favored against. And not only did they lose, they committed a lot of self-inflicted errors that I said that if Michigan did, TCU could win. 2 pick sixes, 2 empty possessions inside of the TCU 3-yard line, giving up 37 offensive points to TCU. It was one of those games where I feel like if any one of those things could have gone right, if they wouldn't have thrown the pick sixes, if they would have converted, if they would have converted on 3rd and 4th down, which they were a combined 3 of 15, they would have won that game.
Yeah.
But they didn't. It was a missed opportunity.
Michigan was the better team, right?
Of course.
It was displayed on the field. They moved the ball up and down. Like the Michigan, not shooting themselves in the foot. Yeah, but they got 14 points on pick sixes.
I understand, but where was the defense?
There was a 28-point swing that Michigan left on the table.
Well, where was the
14 on
defense?
pick sixes and 14 left between the 3-yard line.
Those 2 80-yard plays. Where was when Michigan finally got in the game at the end with about 8 minutes to go in the game? Where was it on 3rd down? They had one Michigan defender who missed the tackle, and the guy goes 80 freaking yards.
I'll tell you what
Where
happened.
the hell were they?
I'll tell you what happened.
Great quarterback
Jesse Minter took off his mask, and all of a sudden it revealed Don Brown again.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened.
No,
that was terrible.
What happened on that play was, I argued with this about Sam.
I've never seen a field so devoid of defenders.
That was the quarterback, and the way that quarterback dropped back 30 yards sometimes to let that crossing route develop over the middle while the wide receivers went way the hell down the field. It was, to me, that was more on the quarterback making that play happen than anything
Max
else.
Duggan played well. He played well.
He didn't play great, but he had 2 plays like that where he just kept dropping back. You're like, they're going to sack this dude for 20 yards, and then dink right over you.
Listen, if they make that tackle, that game is over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah.
I mean, Michigan effed around so much in this game, but they still had gotten it to the point where it was 41-38.
Yeah.
And it was 3rd and 7. TCU was facing 3rd and 7 from their own 25. And then that long touchdown catch and run happens to Quentin Johnston. And if they make that stop, I truly believe that Michigan would have just seen it as we played with fire and we came back and we won that game. But they didn't win that game. It was a missed opportunity for the ages.
Does it ruin the season? And before you answer that, woodwardsports.com chat, Mike G. Stick, Michigan guy here, doesn't ruin it. Bowl games are gravy. No gravy this year. That's one comment. And then right below him, Michigan man Jason. Yes, this season was a failure because we didn't get past the semis again.
Well, unfortunately, I disagree 1,000% with Mike G. But the problem is that's Michigan's history as a program. Bowl games are gravy.
This ain't a bowl game.
But still,
it's a playoff game.
But still, the postseason for Michigan throughout their history, Bo Schembechler was 2-8 in Rose Bowls. This is their second college football playoff appearance.
Harbaugh's 6 straight losses.
1-6 in bowl games.
6 straight losses.
It's almost as if there's something systemically wrong with the program. I mean, they broke through in 1997, but other than that, they've been a team that at their best dominates the Big Ten, but then gets to the biggest stage on the bowl game and loses. And that's exactly what happened again. And like I said, last year, I can excuse that because they were playing against a historically great Georgia team that had 5 first-round draft picks on defense and Nakobe Dean, Kelly Ringo, and Jalen Carter. Nobody was beating that team. But this year, they responded with an undefeated season, winning at Ohio State, beating Michigan State, Mel Tucker for the first time under Jim Harbaugh. But then they got to the exact same stage, playing a TCU team that they should beat, and they blew it. They could have went to the upper echelon of programs. They could have been considered like one of those elite.
They would have been the team in the nation.
But now they're just what they've always been. Big Ten great. They run the Big Ten, but I want. Come on, the last 2 years.
The last 2 years. Yes and no. This last year ran the Big Ten. The year before, they did lose to Michigan State. They did beat Ohio State, so they didn't run it, but they were in charge of it, I guess.
They curb-stomped Ohio State in their building, and so that's why I say that they run the Big Ten.
McNamara at quarterback. That's what happens when you have a great quarterback, not some dude that's throwing pick sixes all day.
I didn't. This year, who was their quarterback? J.J. McCarthy, when they curb-stomped Ohio State in their building. He threw 3 touchdown passes and ran for 1. What did Cade McNamara do in 2021 in the Michigan-Ohio State game?
Didn't turn the ball over.
Yeah, he did turn the ball over. 1 interception in the Ohio State game. That actually happened. I like how I know you got your narrative and it's cute, but I got reality on my side.
You know what's cute? Not throwing pick sixes. That's what's cute, Sam.
You know what's
not
cute?
Putting your team in the hole.
Not giving up 50 points is cute.
Yes.
50 points.
It helps when you don't spot them 14 by your quarterback.
And here's the kicker. We all know the referees did not help. They hurt. And
shut up. Are we really going to have the referee talk?
First of all, 2 blown calls. Massive blown calls. Massive.
What? The touchdown?
First touchdown
that they put down at the inch line. The Michigan decided to fumble because they couldn't gain a half inch.
I give a damn.
Finish the damn job. Quit blaming other people.
Be quiet for a minute.
Millennial ass
Can
Michigan.
You just be quiet for a minute.
No, I'm
not
paid to
millennial
talk.
ass. I'm a boomer.
Boomer ass Michigan.
You don't overturn that call. There's no way that you overturn that call. And then targeting at the end. They might not have won still, but they would have been at the 50-yard line with 30 seconds left in the game. And the way they were going down the field, they would have had a hell of a shot to win that game and win it by 1.
Yeah.
Would they have deserved it? Probably not.
But they weren't driving it all down the field on that drive. It was a very poorly executed last drive. And then as far as that Roman Wilson touchdown goes, I agree. It looked like it was a touchdown to me. It was. But Michigan responded in the worst possible way. How about go behind your Joe Moore winning offensive line and get the ball in from the inch-yard line? Don't hand it off to a converted linebacker on a quick handoff.
Like, you can sit there and blame the officials all you want, but if your team can't pick up a half yard, you don't deserve to win a national championship.
They didn't deserve to win that game. They had 2 pick sixes, 2 empty possessions inside the 3. They were 3 for 15 combined on 3rd and 4th down, and they gave up 51 points with pick sixes and the defense to TCU. That's not a winning formula. And that's why it hurts so bad, because it was it was a very winnable game, and they didn't get it done, and they deserve all the flack that's coming to them. I've had to take my medicine for the past 2 days, and it blows, but you know what? I put my faith in a team that didn't get it done. I disrespected a TCU team that did win, and you know what? I just have to live in it, and Michigan has to live in it.
They're getting 13, by the way, against Georgia.
I just love the narrative that J.J. McCarthy was supposed to show us what this offense could do. We were going to take the lid off of it, and it's like, wouldn't you rather have the guy that didn't give the other team 14 points?
No, I would not.
That doesn't make sense to me.
It does make sense considering in the last 3 games of this season, J.J. McCarthy had 8 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. In the last 3 games of last season.
You did great against Iowa. Fantastic.
I wasn't talking about Iowa, bro. In the last...
Who they play in the championship? What was it? Purdue?
Purdue.
Oh.
And who did...
J.J. McCarthy lit up Purdue.
J.J. McCarthy lit up Ohio State at Columbus. Ooh, it actually wasn't. Ooh.
J.J. McCarthy also lit up Michigan by giving up 14 points. But either way, let's talk about SMA, Flannel Sam.
SMA. Hey, I was about to make that call on Saturday night. I was this close.
Oh, God.
The sports marketing agency helps spread awareness about mental health, speaking of mental health after that game, and substance abuse. Their new podcast, This is the S Word, helps fight the stigma about seeking help. If you or someone you know is struggling, head to thesportsma.com.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on Shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Beverly Hills Golf, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
By now you know me, Christina Gennari, as the obvious choice in real estate. And you know my website, soldchristina.com, as your #1 resource for buying or selling your home. Myself, along with my amazing staff, pride ourselves on making your home buying and selling experience a relaxing and easy one. Come see why we are the obvious choice. Christina Gennari at soldchristina.com, the obvious choice in real estate.
When it comes to making your haircut truly an experience, there's no better place than Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Come to any one of our 26 Metro Detroit locations for an award-winning haircut experience and qualify for a chance to win a down payment for your dream home up to $200,000. Our precision haircut and talented stylists will have you looking good, feeling good, and give you a chance to change your life forever. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
The only sports network in Detroit that starts with a W. You know, because we win. Woodward Sports, Detroit's winning sports network.
What's going on, everybody? JB here, talking to you about the Monroe Street Midway. Now, I know the holidays are done, but the Midway is still going strong.
Popping!
Yeah, they've got the giant Arctic slide down there, the winter bumper cars, the indoor arcade, and puck putt. I have to try this game. I don't know what it is, but I still have to go down there and try this game. It's free to get into the site, and there are so many activities down there for everyone right now. Like the giant Arctic slide. I know the heavyweights have been talking about trying to go down this slide. I don't know if they're going to make it, but that's just me. That's just my opinion. But if all that isn't for you, they always have food down there as well. They are serving up burgers, pierogies, homemade chili, chicken sandwiches, and of course they have the mac and cheese bites. Not to mention they have gluten-free and vegan options as well for anyone. But coming soon, it's the Woodward Sports Winter Olympics. You'll be able to compete with the likes of Darren McCarty, Braylon Edwards, Adam Baydoun, Ryan Ermanni. I believe Maz is also competing as well too.
I'll compete.
Unfortunately, Stick won't be there as well, you know. He has taken too many trophies home from this competition, so he's going to let everyone else join in and have the fun. But the rest of the Woodward Sports family will be there as well, too, for the Monroe Street Midway Games. Check them out at deckedoutdetroit.com for all this fun that you will have, and not to mention woodwardsports.com as well.
Decked Out Detroit, love them, and shout out to Cousins Maine Lobster too. Welcome back to woodwardsports.com and fox2detroit.com. Thank you guys for watching the Ermanni and Edwards show with Maz. It is Sam and Sam show with Maz today.
See Drago calling you out, calling you miserable.
Who called me out?
Drago. Stick is miserable.
I'm miserable?
Miserable.
All right.
Miserable, in other words, you're in a bad mood.
Where do you see him say that?
It's there.
All right, Drago. I liked you in Rocky 3.
He was good in Rocky.
Was that 4 or 3?
No, 4.
It was 4. Yeah, Rocky 4. And then I liked him in Creed. Was it Creed 2 or 3?
2.
Creed 2, when Drago's son gets his ass beat.
Have you seen Stallone's new show? The Tulsa King? You haven't seen it? It's pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's on Paramount.
I still acted. I hit punched in the head.
He was very good. He's very good in it.
Yeah.
He's a displaced mobster that they sent to Tulsa.
Oh, and breaking news, Jacob Verana got waived.
He did?
There we go. There's our hockey talk. Thank you for playing. No, we'll discuss that more later on in the show. People are going nuts. How are they not talking about Jacob Verana?
He won't get picked up. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's
He'll
fine.
be back.
It's fine. Listen, I don't worry about what Steve Yzerman's doing. I don't. Steve Yzerman released him. Breaking news. Cool. Steve Yzerman knows what the hell he's doing. We're going to leave it at that. We'll see how this plays out.
Here's more. Darren McCarty just activated.
Ooh.
How about that?
I would love Darren just to go out there as an enforcer for one game. But him and Spence were just messing around while we were shopping for stuff for studio.
Oh, boy.
It's D-Max turtled Spence in a hurry. And it was like he almost had like instant flashbacks. Like you saw the trigger in D-Mac's eyes go from being nice, friendly D-Mac to fist here, protecting his face, and he just kept jabbing. He got a hold of Spence's shirt and just kept jabbing him. It was fantastic. And Spence is no small dude.
Spence is a big dude.
D-Mac can take care of anybody. If we had a fight at this network, D-Mac would probably be my top pick.
He would be. I mean, he should be everyone's top pick.
A Royal Rumble here would be amazing.
Oh boy!
Just out of nowhere, Maz comes running down the aisle with a chair in his hand, hitting somebody. We should do that.
We need our commercials back again. Remember Art versus D-Mac?
Yeah, you want me to start writing those again?
I love those.
Okay.
I love those.
I'll come up with some more of those.
We just need our mic had to be a little hotter next time, that's all.
Yeah, well, we were learning back then.
Yeah, we were. We're doing good.
Let's stick on Michigan before we get to Dan Miller, who's going to be calling in about 6 minutes, because then we'll discuss Lions with Dan Miller. I thought it was kind of a lazy topic before the game. Now I think it's kind of an actual topic that maybe is worth touching on.
It's gaining ground.
It is gaining ground, and this is kind of the off-season tradition for Michigan now. Is Jim Harbaugh leaving, Flannel Sam? Do you see that happening?
Unfortunately, I could see it happening. I'm not going to say that he for sure is, but I'm nervous as somebody who wants Jim Harbaugh to be the coach at Michigan for a very long time.
Ever.
I mean, he's earned it. Despite his first 6 years, which were underwhelming, he has brought the program back to being a consistent Big Ten champion, beating Ohio State, getting to the college football playoff. And once you get to the college football playoff, you're in the dance. You can win a national championship. It's just that Jim Harbaugh, to me, might be the single greatest football coach to never win a championship in the history of football. He's proven what he can do at the NFL level. He got the 49ers to a Super Bowl. He got the 49ers
with Kaepernick.
With Kaepernick, where and during those 3 years where they made the NFC Championship, they were probably the most consistent winner in all of the NFL. So Jim Harbaugh is a good football coach, and if you're an NFL team like a Denver Broncos, for example, or an Indianapolis Colts, they might take a look at him and they see his resume. And Jim Harbaugh, he might be looking at Michigan saying, I don't want to recruit anymore. I don't want to deal with all of like the NIL stuff. I'm not saying it's true, but I'm saying it could be.
Yeah.
I think the NFL is just a different game, and hell, he might want to prove that he can win a Super Bowl. I don't know. I'm shook, and I'm a Michigan fan who usually just kind of takes these rumors with a grain of salt, but I'm nervous. I want him as our coach for as long as he wants to be there.
Can he prove win a national championship first, then go and win a Super Bowl? I'd be okay with that.
And that's where I was literally going to say to Sam, him losing again in the college football playoffs, I think will keep him here longer than if he would have won a natty this year.
I hope so, because just imagine right after the Ohio State game how high we all were as Michigan fans, myself included. I was thinking that this was a team that could win the natty.
They could have. They still, honestly, the team wasn't bad. They had a bad game.
They had a bad game. But you can't have a bad game in that big a stage and a team when you're favored against. So
he was out-coached, Sam.
He was out-coached. I mean, Sonny Dykes, there's a reason why he was coach of the year in college football. He earned it, and he coached like a coach of the year. And hell, if he actually can win a national championship, you might already have to put him above Jim Harbaugh in the lexicon of college football coaches.
Something? Captain Genius in the WoodwardSports.com chat says, who coaches if Harbaugh leaves? The rumor is Mike Hart.
That scares the
I would not
ish out
want
of me.
that.
That's the rumor I'm hearing.
I want a proven guy.
I want a proven guy too, because this Michigan program is at the highest heights it's been since '97, and I think next year they're going to be in the college football playoff again. I don't want to make a guy who's never been a head coach before, who's just a running backs coach, the head coach of the team. This to me would seem like we're hiring a Michigan man kind of move. And Mike Hart, what has he proven that he can be a head football coach for Michigan?
Yeah, but once again, let's go back to the Lloyd Carr, when Lloyd Carr left. They could have hired Ron English, who I thought would have been the successor to that program and kept it going. But they decided to go a different route.
Yeah.
And it didn't work.
Didn't work.
So, and English didn't have any head coaching experience at that time, and I still think he would have been the right hire in that moment. It turns out, they went to Rich Rod, who his West Virginia offense came in, and then they went to Brady Hoke, who was doing well on the West Coast, but couldn't really get it together here at Michigan. So, I don't know. College to me is a different level.
Okay.
Like, if I'm hiring an NFL coach, I want somebody with some cachet, somebody with some experience. At the college level, the way the game evolves so rapidly, I wouldn't really mind some guy that's already been in the program that's successful to carry on the success. You don't want to bring in a brand new guy who does things his way. You kind of want a Mike Hart who's still going to do what Harbaugh's been doing, because it's led to a 13-0 regular season.
But you can't do this because Nebraska brought in Matt Rule. Iowa brings in Luke Fickell. The field is getting shorter. Those teams will improve. You can't go backwards. You've got to go forward. You need a guy. If Harbaugh does leave, you really got to dig and find that guy, the next Harbaugh. You can't go,
and that's impossible.
You can't go to a position coach that hasn't coached yet.
And honestly, there is no other Harbaugh. Harbaugh is a unicorn. He's a one of one, and like you said, he could be the best coach of all time to never win a championship.
Yeah.
And that's a unicorn right there. Those aren't hanging from the trees everywhere. We can just go pluck one out of the sky. You can't do it.
And of course, for those of you who weren't listening, I meant college and pro combined, because
Yes.
very rarely do you get to the heights that Jim Harbaugh got as an NFL coach and the heights he's got as a college coach. I don't know if anybody has ever done it, honestly.
Larry Brown is the only one in basketball that pops into my head.
That's a good
He
example.
won it. He won it at Kansas, and he won it with the Pistons. But he had to prove himself with the Pistons that he could actually get it done at that level.
It's just what I was kind of saying earlier.
Les
is that
Miles is being floated around in the chat.
He's done.
Yeah, he's done.
That was the hire before Brady Hoke. That's where they should have gone for that.
That's what I thought that they were going to do.
Yep.
And Rich Rod turned out to be the wrong choice. It didn't work. But
Well, they didn't give him a chance, really.
But those, even that last year when his offense was so good, that defense couldn't stop a nosebleed. I agree that maybe that he needed a little bit more time, but at Michigan you can't. It's so hard to have 2 consecutive losing seasons.
Oh, agreed.
I mean, it's kind of, the perception was Rich Rod kind of came in and sort of like took a dump on like the winningest college football program ever by the numbers. So.
All right. Well, we got Dan Miller that's going to be joining us in about 5 minutes, but I want a quick answer out of each of you.
Yeah.
Maybe we can go around the room real quick. Quick answer out of each of you. Coaches leaving. Would it be a bigger impact if Ben Johnson left or Jim Harbaugh left?
Whoa, good one.
Wow.
Should hold that till later.
Okay, then let's hold it.
Okay.
You guys marinate on that. Maz, tell us about the Folding Warehouse.
I'll tell you that. Everyone loves going to the Folding Warehouse. I hope you got down there for New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. It would have been a great time to be down there. 2 ways to play this great game of football and bowling combined. Chris Hutt invented that game.
Hutt.
Make sure you tell him that we said hello. It's his birthday yesterday, so happy belated birthday to Chris Hutt. 2 ways to play it: $12 unlimited open play, or a private lane reservation, 10 or 12 of your friends on a lane for 2 hours. It runs you $120. That is nothing, less than $10 per person. How about that bar? Multiple full bars, over 100 beers they offer, and the $2 mystery beer machine. Bring your own food in or have it delivered. Get your fold on at FoldingWarehouse.com.
It's a great day to get some Centron in your life. Okay. There it is. Centron, here we go. Gotta grab the cranberry. Oh wait, it's 2 for $4. Gotta double up with the classic as well. Centron World, baby. Centron, available at select Kroger's, and if you wanna know how, go to @CentronWorld.com. You get dope like me. You know what? Why wait? Great taste, guaranteed.
chilly weather approaches, Big Boy's got the perfect comfort meals for you. Try our hearty classic meatloaf or our creamy Cajun chicken Alfredo. These will be sure to leave you craving for more. How about breakfast? Our stuffed potato pancakes are back with our lumberjack, blockbuster, and Santa Fe Garden. These potato pancakes will definitely fill you up. Whether it's for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, come stock up on the perfect comfort meal today. We'll see you soon at Big Boy.
A ton of fun, a ton of sports, and a ton of man meat. Welcome to the Woodward Heavyweights, live daily 5 to 7 p.m. on Woodward Sports.
Planet Fitness is home of the judgment-free zone with membership starting as low as $10 a month.
That's it?
Yeah. Join in club today or online at planetfitness.com. But also remember, Woodward Sports will be broadcasting live from Planet Fitness on Eureka Road in Southgate all day on Friday, January 6th. That is this Friday. You'll be able to meet Darren McCarty, Braylon Edwards, Ryan Ermanni, and the rest of the team. Plus, there's chances to win tickets to see Joel Embiid, James Harden, and the 76ers take on the Detroit Pistons January 8th. They also have free pizza for all from 12 to 3 p.m. It's Planet Fitness. Fletch, where?
Your fitness is essential.
That's it.
Oh, look at you guys.
Downriver girls.
We started that while you were gone, man.
Nice.
Welcome back to Ermanni and Edwards with Maz right here on woodwardsports.com and fox2detroit.com. My name is Stick, filling in for Ryan Ermanni today. Flannel Sam filling in for Braylon Edwards. Maz is here. JB is here. Fletch is here. And joining us, I've always wanted to say this, via satellite. Remember when they used to say that on cable all the time? Joining us via satellite is the one, the only, Dan Miller. Thanks for joining us this afternoon, Dan.
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Good, Dan. Happy New Year.
We're doing all right.
Guys.
Obviously, you know, we usually dive right into Lions football or talk a little Michigan football, but just like we kicked off the show, last night was something that I've never experienced in my life. Maz has never experienced. Have you ever seen anything close to that during an NFL game? What happened last night during the Bills and, of course, the Bengals?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we lived through Reggie Brown here, so we understand what that was, and just how difficult that was as somebody covering the Lions, and, you know, all the hoopla around Barry's 2,000-yard season, and then you almost lose an extremely talented, bright young man in the middle of a football field, and we all kind of lived that moment and then watched his recovery, thankfully. You know, I think, you know, I was at the Joe Theismann game, which wasn't a heart situation, but it was that same type of thing where you see the players with that look on their face where you know something's not normal. Now, that was a leg. This was somebody who clearly was not breathing. His heart was not beating. And watching it last night, again, it's that horrified look on the player's face. They know when something's different. And they know when it's not just and I hesitate to say this, but a normal football injury that you deal with. ACL, MCL, you know, back, something like that. And it just, that's the horrifying part about it, is the fear on their faces, and then understanding what that young man in that moment is enduring, and you're praying that he can pull through it. So there's a million different directions that you can go with it. The simplest is you just pray that medical care, which was very quick, swift, and the ability to get his heart going again, will be enough to allow him to live a normal life and get news here soon that he's doing okay. And that's what I think we're all waiting for.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head, because that was my takeaway with it too. When I saw the players reacting that way, you knew it was different, because players have seen all types of injuries throughout their entire playing. I mean, even in high school, like I saw a guy, you know, get a compound fracture, and that shocks you. But after a while, when you saw the look on their faces, you knew that something different was happening.
Yeah, I mean, these guys have dealt with a lot, and they're used to, again, I hate to say that, but they are used to seeing teammates go down. But when somebody is in that type of distress, they recognize that this is just different. And then thankfully, you know, that medical personnel, from everything we know to this point, was able to very quickly diagnose the situation and get him some help on the field that he needed, and hopefully we will, as I said, we don't know at this point, find out down the line that is ultimately what saved his life or allowed him to, get back to some sort of normal sense of normalcy here at some point in the future. And look, you draw strength from Chris Pronger or somebody like that's had it happen to them before, or the situation with Yuri Fisher, which was different, and just hope and pray that this can have the type of outcome that those situations did.
Well, Dan, I just wanted to bring up the football side of things now. This game, I just don't see a way how they could play this game. And the way I'm looking at the standings, I think if you give a tie to these teams, it will not affect them. I think Cincinnati will still win their division because Baltimore can't pass them. Buffalo will win their division, but New England plays Buffalo this week. I'm not sure how Buffalo is going to feel about playing this game, but New England needs it to win. And Kansas City basically got it locked up in the AFC as far as home field advantage. I do think if these two teams meet in the playoffs somehow, that's where it would get a little sticky. Maybe if Buffalo has the better record, I would still think that Cincinnati should get the home game in this one. I'm just talking football only here because it's week 18.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but if Cincinnati loses that game last night, then Baltimore and Cincinnati would have been playing for the division title this week.
Correct.
So, I mean, look, from a football sense and just understanding that we're putting everything that really matters aside, from a football sense, that's a very significant game. If you're Baltimore, that's the difference between having a home playoff game and having to go on the road. So, again, from a football sense and putting aside everything with that young man and his health and his life, it is significant. And I don't know what the NFL is going to do to try to, figure that thing out, because the difference between Baltimore having a chance to win a division and play a playoff game at home versus being a wild card and having to go somewhere else, that is, if you're the Ravens, that is significant for a number of reasons. So it's not, none of this is a good situation.
Of course.
But just from a football sense, it puts the NFL in a difficult spot now, and I really don't know how they're going to find a way out of it, because I do think there are some moving parts that really could have used a result last night.
Of course.
They've already said they're not resuming the game this week. They're not playing it next week to make a team play 2 games and then a playoff game. So it's going to be new ground for the NFL to try to figure this out and try to do something that's amenable for all the teams.
They still got to beat Cincinnati, Baltimore does, and I don't think they will. But again, that's not here or there. And again, we're talking only football here. And as far as Lions and Packers go, you're playing on an 8 o'clock game now, Dan. Your first one out of the 1 o'clock time zone here. What's your thoughts on that? Do you like it, or would you have preferred to maybe play Saturday night or keep it at 1 o'clock?
No, I'm good with it. I mean, look, I love being, those Sunday night games, Monday night games, whatever it is, Saturday night games, when you're the only game going on. It's great. The downside of it is, the possibility that Seattle wins at 4 o'clock, and then we go into that game knowing that there is no chance for the Lions to win and get into the playoffs, and it's just a Green Bay win they're in situation. I love the spotlight. I know that's what NBC wanted. They wanted Aaron Rodgers winning his in situation, and they were intrigued by that matchup. And I think a couple weeks ago people were thinking it was going to be Jacksonville, Tennessee, but I don't think NBC wants Josh Dobbs starting in a primetime game on NBC as the final game of the regular season. So this one kind of made sense. The only other one that might have would have been Baltimore-Cincinnati if they'd have been playing for a division. So, look, I think in a perfect world, maybe it's the Seahawks, Rams, and Lions, Packers going on at the same time.
Yeah, the 4 o'clock spot.
Everybody's playing for something.
Yeah.
And there's no, because if you're Seattle, you're probably thinking in the back of your mind, okay, man, if we win and that knocks the Lions out, are you going to get that same effort from the Lions that you would have if they're playing for a playoff spot? So I don't think it's a perfect situation. But look, if whatever happens, if Seattle was to lose that game, then, man, your bright lights final game of the regular season, winning in for both teams. And if Seattle wins and the Lions are knocked out, then, look, I think Dan Campbell's pretty good at motivating this team. We've seen them play hard all season long, and I think they would, relish the opportunity to go to Green Bay, even if it feels a little bit hollow not having that playoff possibility out there anymore. But I think you got a lot of young players on this team that would love the idea of playing in a nationally televised game against Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. So, look, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. All they can do is control their own business as best they can. and that's right now just getting ready to play on Sunday night.
Talking to Dan Miller, Lions radio voice and Fox 2 Detroit sports director. You brought up Dan Campbell. Last week when we were talking to you, you said that he was still hurting from that Carolina win when you talked to him 2 days removed from it. Did you have your meeting this week with Dan, and what was his feeling, what was his swagger like walking in after this last game?
Wanted to play on Monday. And I don't mean he wanted to go coach against Green Bay. He literally wanted to play in the game against Green Bay.
Wanted to play.
That's how pumped up he was. I think he wanted to put the helmet on and get back out there and play. But, no, I think look, I had to do a radio bit with him yesterday, and we did a TV bit today, and I loved his answer for the final question. I said, you got a lot of young players who've never played in a game of this magnitude. Do you have a message for them going into it? And he said, not really. He said, I want my guys to feel this. He said, because this isn't going to be the only big game we're playing in. We're going to play in one this year, and we're going to play in a lot of them in years to come. And I'm paraphrasing here. But he said, I want my guys to know exactly what this is about. I want them to know it's a big game. I want them to know it going in. We're not going to try to soft sell it. And basically that I believe his words were, it is sink or swim. Throw them out there. Let's go. This is what you're ultimately trying to experience. And I think he's really fired up about a young team with a lot of guys that haven't been anywhere near something like this before, getting the opportunity to play in this, because I think he truly believes, and I think a lot of us do that believe in the foundation they're building, that this will be the first of a number of big games that they get to play in going forward.
100%. Speaking of big games, so the Lions obviously are going into Green Bay with a chance to have a winning record, and if the Rams help them out, with a chance to go to the playoffs. Do you feel a different level of intensity as a great play-by-play guy for the Detroit Lions when you guys play in bigger games?
Oh, I think you feel it. Yeah, thank you for the compliment. I think, yeah, you definitely feel it. I think you always have a little butterfly in your stomach before a game starts. I mean, I've said before, the day I don't feel it, when the home team, whether we're on the road or at home, runs out of that tunnel and that crowd goes crazy, the day I don't feel it'll be the day I know I shouldn't be doing it anymore. I feel it every time. And when you start a game, you got little butterflies going, not knowing what's going to happen. And then when it's a bigger game, I think it's probably bigger butterflies. I think it's, it's just understanding where you're at and what you're about to view and how special it is, and that it's your job to paint that picture for the people that you're talking to through the radio and calling the game for through the radio. It's there's no doubt. I think if you didn't feel a little bit different, that might be problematic. Now, it doesn't mean it affects your performance. I think a little bit of nerves are always good. I'm a big believer in, a fear that motivates versus a fear that paralyzes. It motivates you to prepare. It motivates you to be your best. It motivates you to be at your most attentive. And I think these situations are what brings that out in you.
Hey, Dan, before we let you go, I got to give you one for Ryan and Braylon. Obviously, Michigan disappointing on New Year's Eve. They dropped that game to TCU. It was 51 points to give up. The refs were horrible. Michigan was horrible. Everything was horrible about it.
It's not the refs' fault, man. Stop it.
It was partly their fault.
Stop it.
No, it was partly their fault.
Stop it.
But that day of football it could have been the greatest two games I've ever seen played on one night. It was, to me, it was. And I just want to get your opinion on that. I know you guys probably watched it at the hotel lobby bar or something like that. It had to be unbelievable to watch with a group of friends and stuff. On New Year's Eve, it's hard to concentrate on everything. You got family, you got all of this. I watched it again last night when I got home. What a disappointment. And do you think Jim Harbaugh stays or goes is my second part.
It sounded like there was three parts in there, Matt, so if you counted correctly. No, look, I think, number one, yeah, it was disappointing, I think, where Michigan is concerned. Anytime you have two pick sixes, something like that, it's going to be disappointing. To see them kind of get roughed up on each line of scrimmage was a little disappointing. But there they were with a chance to win it at the end. Yeah, I thought the Roman Wilson overturn was one of the worst I've ever seen.
Yep.
But at the same time, they made enough mistakes that they need to look inward as well, and mistakes that you can't, afford to make in a game of that magnitude. So, look, that's that. The Ohio State game, great game. I tweeted as soon as it was going on, hey, Ryan Day, you might want to get a little bit closer. I feel like he pulled the chute when they got down around 31-yard line. and you're asking your guy to go out there and make roughly a 50-yarder at that point without getting any closer. I thought they were in rhythm. They had timeouts. They could get closer, get him more of a 35-yard field goal, 40-yard field goal, something like that. That makes a difference. And I put some of that on him. I just think he had an offense that he kind of just really took down to an idle at that point. And then on second and third down after the first down run, he was just basically trying not to get sacked. So I questioned some of that there, but that was a great football game. I felt for the kicker. I felt for Ruggles. My heart always goes out to those guys. I'm usually rooting for the kicker to make that, regardless of school, at the end of a game if I don't have a real rooting interest in the game. So, and then Harbaugh, look, guys, I don't know, man. I get the sense a lot of these college coaches don't look at the game the same way that they looked at it before. The rules have changed. The things you have to do to be successful have changed. It's not the way that it used to be. And I see, it's not about NIL. It's not. I think I read one quote that said, it's not about NIL or anything like that, but it's college football as a whole. And I'm paraphrasing. Well, what's the difference? I mean, I think for a lot of these guys, it has changed. I think you've seen some well-known college basketball coaches walk away because I just think they're like, man, I can't deal with this revolving door. I can't deal with, cash at the door for players, and that's how you recruit now. So would it surprise me if he left? No, it would not. And I think at the end of the day, too, it's a big deal to be a Super Bowl winning coach. And if he can find the right situation, I think he can walk out feeling like he put that Michigan program back on track in a good spot and go try to find his NFL. I'm not predicting it. I don't know anything, but it wouldn't shock me at all to see something like that happen.
Well, Dan Miller, before we get you out of here, I got one last question, and I only want one word out of you. And it's going to be tough because this is kind of a loaded question. How does it feel to be going to Green Bay, Lambeau Field, on a Sunday night with a potential Lions playoff berth on the table?
Awesome.
Love it.
You wanted one word? Awesome. I mean, look, when you're a kid, you dream about this. This is what I wanted to do with my life, and to be able to go into Green Bay on the final game of the entire regular season schedule, and maybe your team has a chance to get into the playoffs. I'm living a dream. I couldn't be happier. I couldn't be luckier, and it's exactly where I want to be.
Well, we couldn't be luckier to have you on the call. We did another article about your James Houston sack call today, and people just absolutely love it. Your passion for this team is unmatched. It's about damn time you get to have a game like this for yourself, too. So take a moment while you're there, reflect, and you've earned every bit of it, and we appreciate you as Lions fans.
I appreciate that, Stick. Thank you. It's for all of us, man. It's for a lot of fans that have endured some things for a long time. Maybe it'll mean something, maybe it won't, but I think more than anything, I think a lot of people are happy with what's happened this year and the direction they've gone in. So it's good stuff, and hopefully we get a shot on Sunday night. We'll see what happens.
I'll take 9 wins.
Works for me, and that would mean that you know who isn't going to the playoffs, and I say that
Correct.
out of respect because he's an unbelievable player. He has driven a dagger into my heart so many times that being able to knock him out once wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
Well, Dan Miller, thank you for joining us like you do every Tuesday here on Ermanni and Edwards with Maz. Has a great call on Sunday. Looking forward to it, and we'll be talking to you next Tuesday.
You got it. Thanks, fellas.
Man, this is so awesome. Like, honestly, as a player, like, it's cool, but there's so many other professions around the NFL like this. And for Dan Miller, we're all in media. We know what it's like to call a game like that. Like, I'm already excited for Dan and excited for, I wish the game was tonight.
Hey, I was excited for Joe and Troy last night because they finally had a great game to call.
Yeah.
It is. You're right.
Well, neither of them are Dan Miller in my book.
Well, you know what I mean.
No, I know what you mean, but thank you, Dan Miller, for joining us. Let me tell you a little bit about our friends at Les Stanford.
Yeah.
Not only are they the Corvette King, they will also help you out with your lease, and they are expanding. New locations popping up. They also got that home base in Dearborn. So if you're looking for a brand new car, go to Les Stanford Chevrolet off Michigan Avenue in Dearborn so you can find new roads.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side.
Lemieux and McCarty, who've had a good knockdown drag up. There they go, right on the whistle. They were talking to one another.
Woodward Sports.
At Alta, Uptime matters. Alta Equipment's got everything you need to get the job done. If you have a big project coming up, Alta Rental has got you covered. Give them a call. Give them a try today. 844-GO-TO-ALTA. That's 844-GO-TO-ALTA.
The number 2.
Not the number 2. 2 Alta. It is the number 2.
Welcome back to Ermanni and Edwards with Maz, live on woodwardsports.com and, of course, fox2detroit.com. We were just joined by Dan Miller. Always great to talk about him. So let's stay on the Lions topic.
Wait, before you go to the Lions, didn't you want to go over what Dan said about the referees?
Yeah, we can go over that.
Just a quick...
I know you really want to cry about these refs. You and every Michigan fan wants to cry about refs today.
It is still the worst call I've ever seen.
It's not, but that's okay.
It's right there with the Calvin Johnson catch. Except this one really meant something. Really meant something.
Maz, I would agree with you if they didn't have the ball at the inchy line and then fumbled. Then I'd agree. I'd agree with you.
At the inchy line. They had a touchdown. There's no reason to snap a ball. It was a touchdown. Then it'll be a touchdown in 100 years from now.
But it's just like the Lions against the Cowboys. People still want to complain about that.
I do.
You know, there was 5 minutes left on the clock.
That was
you know
horrible.
that the Lions shanked a punt after that? Do you know that the Lions got the ball back and did nothing after that?
What
you can
if they
point to
scored
one
then?
thing, but if you're constantly hung up on somebody else controlling your destiny instead of you taking that ball, ramming it down their throat, and scoring a touchdown, that's on you, not on the refs.
You can't always do that, Stick.
You can.
But when you actually do something,
champions do.
When you actually do something
Losers
right,
cry.
you want to get rewarded for going over the goal line. That was a touchdown. That was a target at the end of the game. Targeting. That might not have won, but it was targeting. It would have had the ball at midfield.
Like I said, if it was the last Hail Mary and it was 0-0s on the clock and they marked him down, I'm with you. That is the worst call I've ever seen in my life because I thought it was a touchdown. He didn't have possession until he was in the end zone. I'll agree with you that it was a bad call. But how much time in that game did you have to recover from it?
But you don't understand. If it changes the game, man.
Yeah, because you couldn't put it in the end zone. You put it in the end zone, we're not even talking about that
I wish
call.
I had that bowling pin right now.
It's right there. Throw it at me.
The problem is it didn't have to change the game because regardless of if it were a touchdown or at the inch line, it was still a great pass. It was still like a 50-yard play. And championship teams, every team goes through it where things don't go your way. Correct. Calls don't always go your way. And all they had to do was just, J.J. McCarthy could have literally taken the ball and just extended over the goal line. It's a touchdown. Instead, they tried to get too cute. They tried to give it to a converted linebacker, Khalil Mullings. Hope I never see him carry a football again. And he fumbles, and it just turns into a complete disaster. Champions respond by ramming it down into the end zone behind the Joe Moore award-winning offensive line.
That's it, man. Excuses are for losers.
Bro,
champions make plays.
It's just the facts of the game.
They didn't play
It's the
well
facts
enough.
of the game.
The facts of the game is it was a bad call. The other fact is you didn't overcome it. Is that not a fact?
They lost. Yes. They lost the game.
See, and that's what, y'all aren't mad about 2 pick sixes.
Yes,
y'all aren't mad about a fumble. Y'all aren't mad about the Philly special on 4th and 3.
Okay. If it
when you
works,
could have
we're all
taken the
laughing.
lead in the game, but you're mad. You want to cry about referees 2 days later?
No, forever.
Oh,
forever.
Listen, when we
I
started
will
this
cry
network,
the Lions-Cowboy game forever because it was a thievery.
No, it wasn't.
I don't like
it was
thievery.
a bad call that champions overcome.
It's thievery.
When you shank a punt afterwards, is that the ref's fault?
comes on the field and takes his help. First of all, you come on the field, that's a penalty.
And did Des Bryant get his the next week?
Yes, he did. That wasn't fair either. I hate that call.
So,
I hate it.
What are we doing here?
I
Bad
brought
calls
up
are
the
a part
Calvin
of
Johnson.
sports. You either overcome them or you cry about them for decades.
I'm just saying, if they had a neutral referee panel, a national panel, it would have gotten better. They had an SEC team doing that game. They were terrible, man. Michigan sucked. The refs sucked worse. They did. TCU, I'm rooting for them. I like them. I had TCU and OSU in a parlay.
Did the refs throw pick sixes?
I took the 8.5 and the 5. I had them.
Did the ref throw a pick 6?
Oh, geez.
Did they throw multiple?
I give up.
Did the ref fumble inside the 5?
I'm not going to argue with you anymore.
Did the ref call a 4th down play that shouldn't be run? Like, for the 2 things you can point to, I can point to 4 just off the top of my head that Michigan screwed up.
But
and who are you going to blame those pick 6s on?
It changes the game, man.
I get it. I get it.
No, you don't get it.
I do.
Because you keep bringing up all the stuff.
Because those change the game, too. You know how many plays change the game? Every single play changes the outcome of the game.
How do you know that would have happened had they gotten the lead?
How do you know it wouldn't have?
You don't.
And this is why,
but that was the lead. It was
I thought Harbaugh screwed up the very first drive by not taking the points.
He did.
And I get clowned on it in our Woodward sports chat because when Dan Campbell does it on the first drive of an away game, I say you take the points on the road. You keep the pressure on your opponent. Jim Harbaugh, in a neutral site, needed to put points on the board. They got a little too cocky. Yep. They thought, we can fool them with a play that does, like, we're going to put J.J. McCarthy as a wide receiver.
Okay,
like,
but
what are you doing?
If it works, you're like, wow, I like that.
If. But it didn't.
And I'm not making excuses for Michigan. They gave up 50 freaking points. They didn't deserve to win, but they got screwed. That's all. I've watched enough football games where I know a screw job when I see one. And they got screwed.
I mean,
that's it.
You mentioned 50 points. I mean, coming into the game, they were giving up 13.4 on the season, and they gave up 51. They were giving up 85 yards a game on the ground. They gave up 265. I mean, there's just so much that they didn't do that to overcome it. They still had so many chances despite all that.
That's what I'm saying. Look, yes. I agree with you. If that was the last play of the game, a Hail Mary, they mark them down at the inch line, game's over. Yes, the refs cost you that game. But what did that play take place in the second quarter?
Yeah, it would have made it 14-10, and it was still, even though he was marked down, it was still like a 50-yard pass that would have given it 1st and goal at the 1.
And didn't Michigan get back in the game down by 3 in the 4th quarter?
Yeah, then their defense wasn't on the side of the field where the ball was.
Yep.
One person was. The other 10 were, I don't know where they were because I never saw one.
It was clearly the ref's fault. Clearly the ref's fault.
TCU earned it. I'm happy for them. I hope they win.
I don't think TCU earned it either.
Like, points.
I will sit here today and tell you Michigan was the better team. Michigan should have won that game.
They should have won that
game. Michigan essentially outplayed them except for 4 plays that cost them 28 points.
Ohio State deserved to win by far.
God, could you imagine if Ohio State would have won that game?
That would have made by New Year's Eve. I probably wouldn't have. I wouldn't have. I don't even want to talk about it.
If Ohio State would have won that game and then went on to win a national championship, the amount of crying from Michigan would have been exponentially worse.
At least God took care of us there.
And listen,
football God.
I like Michigan. I root for Michigan. But I can also realize when, sometimes it's on you when you screw up. You can't always blame other people. That's life.
You can't always blame other people. And like you said, Michigan was the better team. If they make one less mistake, if they make, let's say, 6 instead of 7, throw 1 pick 6 instead of 2, cash in 1 time inside of the 3 instead of it, cash in once instead of 0 times, they win the game. And they didn't. And that's what hurts the most. And did you see Georgia? Do they look like world beaters? Michigan could have won the national championship, but alas, they're going home.
Yeah,
with their head between their
with their head between their knees. All right, well, a different way to go home, but let me tell you about Lady Jane's. It's wicked awesome, and you can go get your hair done today. You can walk in anytime. They got that precision haircuts. Plus, they are qualifying somebody to win $200,000 for a down payment on a dream home. Walk in anytime, Lady Jane's. They got a location near you. It's wicked awesome.
Wicked. Hi, I'm Dr. Jason Olafson, DC, the founder of the Custom Health Centers, and we've helped thousands of people learn how easy it is to lose weight and keep it off with our customized weight loss and body contouring programs.
With Custom Health, you don't feel hungry, you eat well. My name is Simeon Timbuk, and I've lost 71 pounds on the program.
Call us at 844-789-THIN or visit CustomHealthCenters.com for a free consultation and get started for as little as $5 a day.
Woodward Sports content, head over to woodwardsports.com right now for up-to-date sports articles and great entertainment news. We have the best writers, bloggers, and coverage all at your fingertips. Head to woodwardsports.com right now to experience all Woodward Sports has to offer.
Downtown Detroit is all decked out this holiday season with the return of the Cadillac Lodge and the Monroe Street Midway. The Midway's got the giant slide, the winter bumper cars, and of course the indoor arcade.
Endo.
Plus, you can grab a drink before or after any Lions, Wings, or Pistons home game at the Lodge. Shop, eat, and play downtown all winter long with Decked Out Detroit. And don't forget to check them out at deckedoutdetroit.com.
I went down there last Wednesday, did the ice skating at Campus Marches, hopped over to the Monroe Street Midway. It's so nice to see Detroit functioning like a normal city. I mean, I lived downtown Detroit in 2005, and it was a ghost land. We would roll up, drink 40, smoke blunts anywhere. Now it's like a family atmosphere. People walking around,
but they're still smoking blunts.
Yeah. Well, the society finally caught up with us, but but it's just nice to see that. Even when my mom, she lives in Arizona now, she came back to visit over the summer, and we were driving around downtown. She's like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "Nothing. There's nothing going on. This is just a normal day in the city now," and it's beautiful to see the growth of this city.
I took my kids to the Quick Lane Bowl. We were going to left for Jersey the next day, so let's go to the Quick Lane Bowl. So we go there, hanging out, and I'm driving. One of my girls wanted, "Oh, Dad, take me to Lululemon." All right, take her to Lululemon. And we're just driving downtown, and it's just a lot. Like you said, it's alive. The Christmas lights were on. It was the day after Christmas. People are in a good mood. And then Lily looks at me and said, "Dad, I really love Detroit. It's not Chicago or New York.
No, we're not.
But you know what? It's ours. It's like our own little city.
You
can still get around. There's not a lot of traffic.
You can park.
You can basically park.
Yeah.
They're not going to kill you on parking like they do in other cities. I mean, it's like $80 to park.
I've lived in Chicago. I did radio in Chicago, and I did radio in New York.
Yeah.
Detroit's a better city than each of those.
Well, I don't know about that, but it is a nice little city. It is.
I love Detroit. It's
I love it too.
the
I've been here
smallest
30
big
years.
city in the world.
Correct. That's a great way to call it.
And that's what I love about it. We have our downtown feel, but you have lakes, you have parks.
Yeah.
Like, there's just so much here that Chicago didn't offer me when I lived there. In New York, I was just surrounded by people all times. Like, you get on the subway, surrounded by people. You walk out the subway, surrounded by people. You go to your apartment, surrounded by people. You hear the people living above you, living inside you. Like, you're just never the F alone in those cities.
Facts.
Here, we have solitude. I can barbecue in my backyard, pull into my garage that doesn't cost me $4 million. Like, it's just, Detroit is perfect for me.
It is. It's very nice. I do love it here. I do. Not only that, I forgot my phone back at Ford Field. I left it in a cup holder. So I dropped my daughter off at Lululemon, and Lily's next to me. Abby went in, and I'm like, "Oh my God, I left my phone." Damn. So I know my way around down there. I get it back around. I said, "Lil, go." I sent Lily in. They let her back in. They were really nice, because once you're out of the stadium, then you're not supposed to get back in. They let her in. "Hey, look, my dad left his phone. We were in section 125. All right, go ahead, honey." And then she came out with it, and they all clapped for her.
Nah.
And I just double parked right in front of Ford Field.
Of course
you can't
you did.
do that in New York. You can't do that in Chicago. It's just, I just want to give a hat off to my hometown here, Detroit, USA.
Yeah, love it. And when the sports teams catch up to how great the city
I
is,
love
this
our
place
sports.
is going to be on fire.
I love our sports teams. I do.
And that's why I feel bad for guys like Fletch and JB. I mean, they weren't here for the golden age, of April in the D and all the teams making the playoffs.
It'll be back.
It'll be fun like that. Let's talk a little more Lions talk before we get out of here.
All right.
Lions are setting records, baby.
Yeah, they are.
All over the place. And I've been accustomed to my entire life watching a Lions game and hearing about records the other teams are setting against us, right? Like, oh, Justin Jefferson, the most wide receiving yard, or, it just every game it felt like other teams would set records against us. The Lions are doing it this year. Fletch, if you just want to throw up any of those random records that they're setting, we can talk about them, because here is one right here. The Detroit Lions finished the 2022 home slate at Ford Field with 3,709 total net yards passing, 298 points, 36 touchdowns. All three mark franchise records by Detroit in home games in a single season. All three. And then here's another one. For the first time in franchise history, the Lions have 4,000 yards passing and 2,000 yards rushing in the same season.
How about that?
Just breathe it in, folks.
Yeah.
How about another one for you? You want to hit him with another one, Maz?
Mike Martz remember good old Mike Martz? The man, Mike Martz. The man who got you what was the Rams called? The
Greatest Show on Turf.
Greatest Show on Turf. That was his boys. He said this Lion team, watch out if they make the playoffs because they have the offense to make it to the NFC Championship game. That's Mike Martz saying that. He's like, the defense is still coming, but the offense is as good as you could get.
I liked Martz when he was here, but man, his offensive line schemes got quarterbacks absolutely murdered, absolutely destroyed. But let's throw up that one last graphic one more time. 3 sacks, 1 forced fumble. James Houston has become the first rookie to log a game with 3 sacks and a forced fumble since Max Crosby in 2019. Then we go to Aiden Hutchinson, ho-hum, the number 2 overall pick. First player with 7+ sacks, 3+ interceptions in a season since 1982 when sacks became official. So we don't even know if it happened before then because they weren't even keeping track.
When you look at all of those stats, all of those records that were just brought up, first of all, the offense under Anthony Lynn, we have to remember how bad it really looked. And having Ben Johnson last year as the passing game coordinator, having him take over as the offensive coordinator, this is an elite offense, a top 5 offense. Jared Goff is playing the best football of his career. Jamal Williams is about to have an 1,000-yard season. This offensive line is obviously elite. Amon-Ra St. Brown has taken that step into being a top 10 wide receiver. And they've had games where they've scored 36, 41. How many against Jacksonville? Over 40 against Jacksonville.
They've scored 7 times over 30 points.
That's an elite offense.
Yep.
And on the defensive side, do we talk about James Houston enough?
No.
The man is leading all rookies in sacks and has played 6 games. He has 8 in his first 6 NFL games. And Aiden Hutchinson, 7.5 sacks and more interceptions than Sauce Gardner with 3. Just unbelievable. Unbelievable what steps this team has taken. God bless Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, Ben Johnson, even Aaron Glenn. I'll give Aaron Glenn his kudos because in their last 7 wins, and 5 of them, Aaron Glenn defenses have allowed less than 20 points.
Yep.
And allowing less than 20 points, that's enough to win in the NFL. They're 5-0 in those games.
So I was having a conversation.
Brian Baldinger, one of the best analysts out there, breaks down film for almost every game. He loves this Lions team. He loves James Houston.
Yeah.
James
that
Houston,
explosiveness for him to tackle.
He gets
Fields.
low like a cat. Get away from me. Get away from me.
Speaking of, there's Adam. Adam and I were having a conversation earlier, and I want your guys' response to this. Who on the offense is having a crazy good year?
Hey, Amon-Ra.
Jared Goff.
You said maybe Jared Goff is having a good year.
I would say for sure. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown's a top 10 receiver. Has over 100 catches.
Swift is starting to look like that guy, by the way.
Starting to, yep. None of them are having banner crazy years. Nobody's blowing up on the offense, right?
Correct.
Amon-Ra is having a good year, but he's not Justin Jefferson, is he? He's not Jamar Chase. He's not putting up massive numbers. Swift is looking better.
Yeah.
But he's not having a banner year for DeAndre Swift.
For sure not.
Swaggy, 1,000 yards, 15 touchdowns, insane. But overall, not an insane year for him, right?
No.
Tight ends? No tight end is really having a great year.
How about since Hawkins is gone? What do they have, 8 touchdowns?
Right.
The tight ends combined?
Wide receiver. Josh Reynolds, not a great year.
Yeah.
DJ Chark, not a great year. Amon-Ra St. Brown, okay, a good year, not a great year.
I would say great.
Collectively, though, they are having the best year ever. And when I was thinking about this, I want to start calling these guys the going-to-work Lions.
The going-to-work Lions?
Yeah,
because that's what they remind me of. You looked at that going-to-work Piston team. Who was scoring 40 points a game? Nobody. Who was leading the league in anything? Nobody. But as a collective, they were a dominant force, and that's what I feel about the Detroit Lions offense right now. When I look around and I'm looking at stats, I don't see any world beaters on the team, but what I see is a team that can beat anybody in the world.
I mean, when you're talking about going to work, I mean, their best offensive player overall might be a guy like Penei Sewell or Frank Ragnow, so an offensive lineman, and then together they have kind of made up one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. it's amazing what this offense has been able to accomplish with largely a lot of the same personnel as last season. Amon-Ra St. Brown was on the team when Anthony Lynn was there, but under Anthony Lynn, he was just kind of an okay fourth-round pick. Jamal Williams is going to have the first 1,000-yard season of his career. He's now transitioned into RB1, at least for this season. And Jared Goff. Do you remember how bad he looked last year under Anthony Lynn? Now, he should have been a Pro Bowl quarterback. He's playing the best football of his career, and it's including the 2018 Rams season. Just unbelievable. This is an elite offense. This is a Super Bowl level offense. Just by the numbers. Look at the numbers.
Going to work. The going to work Lions are here, baby.
Roll that whistle.
Maz, why don't you tell us about chili peppers tanning?
Oh, man, look how beautiful it is out.
Not gorgeous.
I mean, do we ever see the sun here? No, we don't. We know that. In Detroit, once it hits November, the sun's gone. That's why you got to get your vitamin D and get it at Chili Peppers Tanning. They have 27 locations, more on the way, 2 right here on Woodward Avenue. And if you join the Pepper Club, they'll save you $5 against any competitor on unlimited tanning and more. They have the greatest deals, the darkest tans. Your vitamin D headquarters is ChiliPeppersTanning.com.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on Shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Beverly Hills Golf, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
We are the network for Detroit by Detroiters. Welcome to the Woodward Sports Network.
Cintron is the official energy drink of the Red Wings. Cintron has combined all 3 of their delicious flavors into a limited edition 6-pack sampler box.
Stay out, Verona.
Try Cintron's great-tasting cranberry, classic, and sugar-free all in one pack.
Okay.
Pre-order your Cintron 6-pack sampler box today at cintronworld.com/Red Wings. Get energized with Cintron, and let's go Red Wings. Get dope like me.
Why wait? Ermanni Edwards with Maz, live on WoodwardSports.com and Fox2Detroit.com. JB, I apologize. I feel like we haven't gone to you at all today. Is there any opinion that you have about anything that we discussed in the last 2 hours that you feel you got to say?
I just got to take my hat off to all the people in the NFL right now, especially everyone who handled that situation for Monday Night Football so well. From the broadcasters to everyone who was down there on the field trying to make sure that, they were trying to save a life down there. So I just have to take my hat off to them. Like, I appreciate them so much.
Love it. Thoughtful, concise, JB. You gotta love JB. Thank you for all you do here as well, JB. And thank you to everybody in the chat today. It's been fun interacting with you guys at woodwardsports.com. We got about 3 more minutes left in the show. Flannel Sam, you may be filling in tomorrow. You may not be. I will definitely be in this seat. We're not sure who's going to be in that seat. Potentially Braylon, if not you. But do you have any closing remarks from today's show?
Some closing remarks from today's show.
Stick up for me. How about that?
I don't know. When you're blaming the refs, I can't. Although those were two bad calls. So my closing remarks,
grown-ass man,
from today's show is that I want you as Michigan fans to really understand the missed opportunity that was this season. Michigan might not have a chance this golden with a matchup against a team like TCU that they are favored in to go to the national championship. They would have played Georgia, a team that looks a lot more beatable than they did last year, but then they blew it. And now you might lose your head coach in the offseason. So as happy as I was as a Michigan fan after going on the road to Ohio State and then winning in Columbus for the first time since 2000, it might come crashing down. It's a very sobering reality. I think they'll be good next year. A lot of people are coming back. J.J. McCarthy, Donovan Edwards, Will Johnson, Mike Sanderstill. It's going to be a good team. But, man, this was a missed opportunity, and it hurts so bad.
Why do you always got to go to me when I'm not looking?
Michigan ain't
I'm
going
looking at my phone to see if there's any news on Jamar, and then you and Fletch got to laugh. You get me a big boy drinking a chocolate shake. He gets me looking at my phone, and you guys get a kick out of it. What's so fun about that?
Because honestly, what needs to happen is we need to put a little box of you up in the corner at all show for like right here, the little box of Maz for 2 hours. Because you are a special being, Tom Mazawey, and we love having you here.
Thank you.
Except when you blame refs.
Of course.
But that's all right. Thank you guys for being a part of the show. Hopefully we entertained you for today. Lots more to discuss tomorrow. And the Aaron Rodgers hate train is starting to gain some steam. What's that?
No, I was quoting Joe Pesci.
What was
my clown? I make you laugh.
Amuse you?
Am I here for your amusement?
Am I here for your amusement?
Yes. Yes, you are.
You're funny.
Am I funny like
you guys have a great day. The Jared Goff hating heavyweight show is up next. Make sure you hop in the chat and let them know how wrong Easy is. And you guys have a great one. We love you here at Woodward Sports. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
See ya.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.